It's bizarre because some people, and I don't know if they don't like us or what, but I've seen some people comment before that, oh, well, we're just defending champagne because we're liberal shills. Like,
definitely not liberal shills.
Have you seen our channel? I'd say our final chapter on the Francois-Philippe Champagne front. So we have a couple of different things to show you. One of the things that I think most people know that know about this is there are several companies that are related to the Champagne family, and that Francois-Philippe Champagne is a beneficiary of, and that's a key point, that he's a beneficiary of. And the question was raised: is that kosher? Is that allowed? And why didn't he disclose this? So we will show you the latest disclosure, and this is what has caused the confusion. So you'll see here, this is the disclosure, and you'll see under where it says trusts, it says, I am the beneficiary of the Francois-Philippe Champagne Trust, Francois-Philippe Champagne II Trust, as well as potentially beneficiary of the Giles Campaign private corporations, and for which I am ordered as required by paragraph 41.3, section 2 of the Parliament of Canada Act by the Conflict of Interest, etc., to disclose this. So the question was raised, hey, listen, those companies aren't listed in there, so therefore he hasn't disclosed them. So that's where the question was raised. Well, he has, and this is what we're going to show you. So this is a disclosure that was made in June of 2020. And it says, I am the beneficiary of the Francois-Philippe Champagne Trust II. Remember, we just talked about that. A discretionary family trust which owns interests in the following private companies. And it goes through all of those companies. So this was actually him disclosing that these companies are held within the Francois-Philippe Champagne Trust II. So all of those companies are being held under that umbrella, okay? So then there was questions, well, there was a bunch of companies that he was made beneficiary of in 2023. What happened to those? Let's go back to the latest trust, or latest disclosure. You'll see where he says, as well as a potentially, meaning if his dad dies, beneficiary of the Giles Champagne Family Trust, which there are discretionary family trusts that owns interests in private corporations, which is all of the corporations that he was made beneficiary of. So this is all disclosed, and they have an annual process where they do this. They have to disclose everything annually, and that's what we're seeing. But we didn't want to just leave it there. We did a little bit more research. So we actually talked to this guy.
So this is David Sweet. We've had David on the show a few times before, and he's our former MP of Flamborough-Glanbrook. And he was also the former chair of the Ethics Committee. So we knew he was the guy to talk to.
So what we had explained to him is we said, listen, we're looking into Francois-Philippe Champagne. He had disclosed some companies. He was made beneficiary of some companies later. It looked like he put them into a trust, which we've then been able to verify that he did. Is that above board? And he said, well, it sounds like it. It sounds like everything that, that he did follow. And here's the other thing. They're actually pre-screened when they're taking a minister's position. So before they actually become a minister of X, they have to disclose everything to the ethics commissioner. The ethics commissioner goes through it and then provides guidance, and then they have to follow that guidance. And upon that, then their conflict of interest is resolved. So we didn't want to stop there, so we went to the legislation itself. So this is right at the office of the conflict of interest of the ethics commissioner. So this is where it explains what is required by the Conflict of Interest Act, and it basically says that they have to divest themselves of assets. And the members of parliament, they can kind of get away from this, and they're usually okay up to a total asset monetary amount of around $60,000.
Yeah, so if you've got your kid's college fund, for example, that's at $30,000, that's not going to be one of your assets that you need to divest.
So how will I know which assets to divest? Well, the office will tell you. So your job is to provide them your whole portfolio, and then they will say, this is what you're required to do as a member of parliament. And in most cases, it'll say, now we move on to number 3. What are the acceptable methods of divestment? Meaning you have to kind of remove these assets from yourself. One of the most common ways is to put them in a trust. So you still maintain ownership of them, but you cannot control them, and you cannot dictate what happens with them. And if they're companies, you cannot participate in any of the day-to-day operations of said companies. That's where Randy Boissonneau is getting in royal doo-doo, because it looks like there's a lot of evidence via text message that he was participating in the day-to-day operation of his companies. So
I do want to back up, if you could throw that that last one up on the screen. I just want to go over what is a blind trust, because this was something I didn't know. So a blind trust is a type of trust, a property interest held by one person for the benefit of another, in which trustee holds legal title to the assets unless the assets are in a registered account, and is empowered to administer the assets of the trust without any input from the trust's reporting public office holder. The trustee may not provide the reporting public office holder with any information about the day-to-day operations of the trust.
So he created this trust. I saw a question, why is there confusion about this 3-year deception? So the trust was created in 2020. I'll put that back up so everybody can see.
So this is the disclosure Francois-Philippe Champagne had to make when that trust was created.
Yeah. So the Francois-Philippe Champagne Trust 2, he is referencing this in the 2020 disclosure. Okay. So a bunch of companies that he was under, all of them fall under this trust. Okay. And then the disclosure in 2024, he is essentially saying, I have added pieces to that trust, which is all of the companies that I have been made beneficiary to. So that's where the confusion potentially is. So hopefully that hopefully that kind of clears this up as good as mud, because it can be kind of confusing on following this stuff. Especially when there's a lot of different companies like Champagne is tied to. But as far as following the conflict of interest rules, all the evidence that we've seen points that although it is frustrating that he seems to be tied to so much wealth, he is he's operating within the rules. As
far as we can tell at this point anyways. Now, Ryan and I are not fans of Mr. Champagne.
He's
I think
chihuahua.
You guys know that with all the silly names that we make up for him and with Ryan's impersonations and stuff. But what we are fans of is the truth. So we will give credit where credit is due. And in this case, and especially according to David, who was the former chair of the ethics committee, it appears that everything was disclosed properly. And that's the key word, though, appears, right? Is there a chance that somebody screwed up somewhere along the way? Sure, maybe, why not? But we don't have evidence of that right now.
Well, and it's bizarre because some people, and I don't know if they don't like us or what, but I've seen some people comment before that, oh, well, you know, we're just defending Champagne because we're liberal shills. Like,
definitely not liberal shills.
Have you seen our channel? Have you seen our channel? We're not shills, but we're also not in the business of just agreeing just for the sake of agreeing that it could cause a scandal. And like the conservatives, if they mess up, we're going to be calling them out. So if people need to be comfortable with the fact that if any of the liberals, and it doesn't matter who it is, or sorry, any of the conservatives, it doesn't matter who it is, if they slip up in a big way, like we're not going to care about a glass of orange juice, everybody, but if they slip up in a big way and get caught in something, we're going to call it out. It's going to be uncomfortable for us too. It's going to be really disappointing.
You know, I think the first time it happens, because it will happen, we're all human, we all make mistakes. But I think the first time that it happens, I will be absolutely heartbroken.
Yeah.
I will be, but I'm going to report it anyways because it's important. Like, these things are important and Canadians need to know.
And we don't want to be creating an echo chamber here where we're just telling everybody what they want to hear. That's not why you're here. You're here because we're trying to give you the truth. And that's where, you know, we've made corrections in the past. We will make mistakes in the future and we will issue corrections, you know, as needed, because we want to make sure that you get the truth, because we're certainly not getting that in mainstream media.